Good morning. Go ahead and start this off with a disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any minor changes you make to your diet or any other aspect of your lifestyle is something you check with a doctor with before enacting in your own life. I'm also not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is a recommendation for investment. Furthermore, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Nothing I say is an admission of guilt. And lastly, but not leastly, all opinions are my own and are in no way affiliated with the network where you are watching this content. Looks like we got some chatters going before I got here, which is always good to see. I love it when it's like that. This is a question and answer based stream for those who don't already know. The questions will be answered in chronological order, assuming they are questions that are relevant and I want to answer. So it's a first come, first serve kind of thing. I do encourage everyone to come in and post their questions as soon as they get here or even before I get here. That being said, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can make sure you catch me in future streams. We're on a little bit of a streak right now. This is day 4. And as a final note, there is a membership option. It's highly encouraged to become a member. Priority will be given to people with badges. Noise kicked it off. Good morning, Noy. Good morning, Chirag, Megan, Raphael. Good to see you guys. Noy says, hello, Bruce. Can you accurately feel if there is an energy shifting within you, and does it happen in normal circumstances or only when you're meditating, or in what circumstances? Well, it definitely, there is kind of like an ebb and flow. I will say that I definitely have my my more energetic days. There is, a few factors that I've noticed have a lot to do with it. By the way, you guys, if I sound a little sleepy, it's because I didn't have any tea today. I'm going fully no caffeine stage. So I am probably a little slower to wake up than usual. But that being said, back to the energy thing. Food consumption, cycle of the moon, sexual energy has a lot to do with it. Retention and things. But, and also conscious breathing tends to dramatically affect the flow of energy, right? And but generally, if I'm actually like feeling the energy move through the energy channels in my body, it's generally in meditation. Chanting and stuff has a lot to do with it. And usually when I'm chanting, it becomes much stronger for me. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely an ebb and flow. I mean, I think that the ultimate goal is to stay in contact with that, to keep that energy really stoked up and stay aware of it all the time. But there definitely are low energy days. I think in the beginning it's normal to have occasional high energy days, but as time goes, eventually it will shift to a low energy thing. Now, I do want to say that, during meditation and doing energy work, um, you know, there can be like side effects and things So it's very important to be careful with what you're doing with your body if you are focusing on these things and feeling these things. And it's always best to perfect your meditation before really diving into the energy work. So when we talk about perfecting meditation, we're talking about the ability to stay in a state without thought for an extended period of time, right? And so when you first start meditating, maybe even 5 seconds of complete thoughtlessness where you're just only aware of the breath is a good place to start, you know. And you do these mental checks each time you notice something pass through your mind. Do a mental check. Don't associate with it, but just observe it. See how long you can go in between thoughts, in between pains and sensations and different things in your body. Um, and eventually, as you increase this time more and more and more, you will reach a state where you can remain in meditation. And once you can remain in meditation for a longer period of time, um, that's when you can start becoming more conscious of the flow of the energy in your body and trying to move it in a conscious manner rather than just observing it. But when you before you start meditation, it's always good to do like a head to toe body scan. you know like start with the top of the head, start with your own brain, and see if you can feel you know different parts of your brain. For me, it feels like almost like empty space, as much as that sounds terrible. But the consciousness of it is a key to that. And you just kind of move down and do this body check through your whole torso, through your limbs, so on and so forth, and then try to just focus on the breath until you can extend the period of time where you're not having any thoughts. And eventually, once you can stay there, there's some other things you can do, but I don't want to talk about it because it's kind of more of like a one-on-one conversation for people that are actually ready for it. I don't, people tend to want to try to do the most advanced things right out the gate, um, rather than starting slowly and working their way up to things. And in all actuality, it can be dangerous. It can have like major negative effects and things. So, um, side effects and whatnot. So, it definitely, the best way to handle the energy in your body is to meditate. And Chirik says, "Hello, Bruce. How are you? So I want to share my thought. You are doing a great job coming live daily, and I really enjoy the session, and it's like therapy, and keep it up." You're very welcome. I'm happy that we're able to do a little streak. I'm trying to keep this going. I have, I would like to kind of shift away from um, some other things, and I figured I'd at least give this like another shot to see where it goes. I obviously have mixed feelings about talking about spirituality on the internet, but when have already talked about it so much, and uh, you know, have other types of content on the internet, I feel like, what the heck? We'll just go for it and see what happens. Raphael says, "What's the best way to process and clean out bad stuff that happened and emotions of that, like trauma and such?" Um, that's a good question. Um, I would say um, meditate on the thought of, who am I? Where am I? What am I? And at some point you may come to the realization that you know, you are not only not the voice in your head that talks to you, but you're also not your emotions. You're not even the one, um, you are the observer of both. Whatever happened to you is in the past. It's not, it's not real. It's not tangible. You know, like, I had a friend a long time ago, one of my best friends. Sadly, we lost him, but he developed schizophrenia, right? And that manifested as him having dreams that he could not differentiate from reality. He would wake up from a dream and think everything was real, absolutely real. To him, it was real. But the things that he thought happened never happened, and the things that actually did happen are really no different, you see, because it's all just a memory. It doesn't, the only place that it has in the world is inside of you. So as soon as you realize that it doesn't have a place inside you anymore, it ceases to exist, you know. So um, it's it's best to realize that your emotions are very similar to your your ego mind that talks to you, right? That voice in your head is the way that your logical mind communicates with you, right? But your intuitive mind, which is your more powerful mind, um, it's so much more powerful and complicated the way that it operates that it can't be put into words until you unite these two sides, which is really what the whole spiritual process is about, right? And so um, the the intuitive mind speaks to you through emotion, and sadly most people associate these emotions with themselves. They think that they are experiencing these emotions, but in reality they are observing something that is more like a compass. So it's best just to read the compass and not associate with the emotions. Realize that the emotions are trying to tell you something. They're not trying to make you feel a certain way so that you can be depressed or down, or to feed your ego so that it can, you know, abuse you internally, right? So it's really about um, detachment. Like detachment is really the key to happiness, because basically all emotions and trauma and stuff can be tied into something that either you want to happen or that you wish didn't happen. But um, you know, the things that you wish didn't happen, it's things in the past, it's unchangeable. Give zero thought to the things that you cannot change. Become completely detached to it. Just learn to read the compass. Ask yourself, where is it pointing to? What is your, what I'm saying, what is it trying to tell you that your logical mind cannot figure out, you know? And that's the place for your logical mind to try to understand and read this compass, right? And at some point, in the much later in the process, you'll reach a point where these two sides of your mind unite, right? And when these two sides of your mind unite, your brain will work in a completely different way. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much that. Um, Good morning, everyone else that just got here. One second, guys. Just removing a few people. You guys, I'm sorry about the trolls. You gotta keep in mind most of these people have been abused at some point in their life, and this is, how they express themselves by coming onto the internet and trying to be, whatever they are. That's funny. Nice wig. This guy's. Do you know anything about the Schumann resonance? It sounds familiar. I think at some point I read something about it and it was interesting, but I forgot what it is at this moment. I'm a little bit dragging today with no caffeine. Hello. Doing well. I'm doing well. One second, guys. I'm trying to look for something meaningful in the chat. Do I believe in projecting? You mean like astral projecting? So, what do you guys want to talk about? It seems like we got plenty of, these things here. I feel so bad for these people. I always wonder what happened to somebody that causes them to go on the internet just to talk shit. You guys, I've made it to the bottom of the chat. We're only 18 minutes in. Didn't have any caffeine today, so nobody has any meaningful questions besides. Thank you, Noi, by the way, and thank you, Raphael, for bringing some good questions to the chat. Raphael says, it's crazy to me that none of your former coworkers reached out to you regarding your radical evolution and transformation. Well, the thing is, yeah, I don't know. People are stuck in their own world, when you're really super influenced by the thought of fame or money and, things like that. It's hard to be interested in spirituality. You know what I'm saying? What do you mean, shifts meanings to letting go of living day to day? Um, yeah, okay, that's a good question, B. Rob. Thank you for that. Again, I guess the underlying, theme of this stream is going to be detachment, um, you know, the in-between comes um, as a byproduct of the things that we have, which are still in our lives, um, when we were in a different state of mind, a different state of being, right? So obviously, it's not everybody can just go and quit their job and whatever. A lot of people have kids and things. They have to, um, support their families and so on and so forth. So it's hard for them to just drop everything and throw themselves on the mercy of the universe. Um, but if you do that, you might be surprised with the results. Now, it's hard for me to go and tell anyone that they should get rid of all their possessions and quit their job. And I definitely wouldn't tell that to anyone that has dependents. But, you know, the, it's also, I don't know. It's a good question. It's difficult because my way is not a way that everybody can do. But it should be because I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed my work. I enjoyed everything that I was, doing in the past, right? And I still have no regrets because my life has only gotten better since I released everything. Um, and that's hard for a lot of people to understand, especially people who are like fans of my old work, because to them I had the dream job. And so um, it, me stopping to doing that is something that most people automatically associate with there being some kind of reason why I stopped, like that I can't do it anymore. But the truth is that I can. It's not really a huge, um, you know, step to go cut my hair, shave, pluck my eyebrows. I did it for, you know, 37 years. Well, I guess, minus before I grew facial hair. So, but you get what I'm saying. Um, and, in reality, if you were to take the steps towards being absolutely in the moment and releasing all physical um, attachments, um, it's something that you have to be committed to over the long term. Otherwise, what you'll do is you'll just damage a lot of things in your life and then not get any results. So it's a complicated question, to be honest, and I don't know if I'm 100% awake enough to give a best answer for that. But just start small. Anything that you can let go of, let go of. Just it can be just one thing at a time. Like every day, wake up and go give something away to somebody that needs it. Um, something, identify something useless in your domain that you can throw in the garbage. Learn to be detached. Cut off. Start with cutting off toxic relationships and things that don't serve you. Um, eliminate whatever you can, cancel all your fucking movie subscriptions and your fucking stop listening to music all the time. Um, you know, um, spend more time in nature, get grounded, like appreciate the things that exist here for everybody, you know. Um, Work on your body, work on your diet, like purify. It's just little shifts, little things. And the more that you do the little things, the more you'll become prepared to let go of the bigger things. And then once you're really truly in the moment and you can just um, learn to enjoy being you, just you, um, for the sake of your own existence. And that in my view will put you in the moment. Don't shy from a little suffering. you know Once you realize you can do the hard things, you'll be better able to enjoy the easy things. um yeah, the past trauma thing is, it's a lot of people have that kind of baggage, but um there's a poem on my Instagram. I wish I had a second device on me right now that I would like to read you, but you could go find it. There's a poem on my Instagram that says, um, the first line of it is, uh, rule number one: never panic. And go see if you can read that. My handwriting is a little bit hard, but that's probably the best advice that I could give, is whatever I wrote in that poem. Do I believe in all that Bashar alien talk? We'd be visited and there would be open contact within the next 2 years. I wouldn't say that I believe in it, but I also don't not believe in it. I've seen enough things personally, um, to have a really open mind. There's a lot of things that I would have 3 years ago said were impossible, and that I personally have experienced since then. So I try to stay away from belief. I think belief is a very dirty, um, sad, depressing word, because belief um, means that you don't know, but you still, give that thing weight, right? Just based upon something someone said or whatever. And that's kind of a naive way of approaching life. Um, but you should maintain an open mind. One of the most spiritual things that you can say is, I don't know. Because the truth is that whatever you think you know is far more grandiose than what you actually do know. And in only a moment, an absolute moment of clarity, everything that you thought that you know could become untrue, because you experienced one thing which devalidated it all. You know what I'm saying? So um, just approach everything with an open mind, but all in all, like the phone, media, you know, television, whatever, music, it's all just distraction from the self. And really, all your answers are inward, right? Now, do I think could be possible for telepathy and things? Yeah, absolutely. Um, But, and to be also super honest, I mean, Bashar seems quite lucid to me. When he's not talking as Bashar, when he's just being Daryl or whatever, you can tell that he's a fairly enlightened person. And so that does lend some credit to what he's saying, but I can't confirm or deny anything about Bashar and his alien stuff or whatever. 2 years is a pretty short time frame. So I guess we'll know soon enough. I mean, if somebody's claiming something will happen within 2 years, then, I'm inclined to say, let's just wait and see. B. Rob says, I'm 47, stopped drinking 8 years ago. I realized that my life no longer served me as it was set up to drink and suffer. I cannot live like that again. Well, you're already on the path, but 8 years, it's a long time, It's time to forgive yourself, you know. You can't go back and change anything. It's the absolute moment that something happens, it's irreversible. You know what I'm saying? I can't, even right now, like just this conversation, like I can't put a single word back in my mouth, right? And so, one of the most powerful things that we can do is that we can forgive ourselves. And once we learn to forgive ourselves, we can learn to forgive other people. And we can realize that forgiveness is one of the most righteously selfish things that we can do, whether it be for ourselves or anyone else. So, all desire leads to suffering, all suffering leads to greatness. So you have to, learn to transmute every weakness into strength, you know. And that's what you already started doing. You just have to realize that that's what you're doing. You've been doing it for 8 years. So, because every time you resist to drink, you've just proven your own strength. You know what I mean? So consider just, forgiveness above all things. Because all forgiveness is really for the self, even when it's for someone else. Because we are all one. You know what I'm saying? The world is a mirror. Everyone that we encounter is us. You know. Thank you for the donation, Noy. I appreciate you. What was my past job? I was a porn star. Raphael says, would you still agree to the sentiment that is still your dream job, or do you not dream of jobs in general anymore? I would say that I'm really happy where I am in life right now. I've kind of transmuted that into something beautiful and based on love. And I'm looking forward to sharing this new stage. And this new stage is really only become possible because of the spiritual process. Like, my ego would not have allowed me to have the blessings that have entered my life recently, had they come to me before I defeated that demon. You know what I mean? But I'll quote Alan Watts on this and say that whatever work that you do should be some kind of work which you consider play. You know what I'm saying? If you, you know, or a better way of saying it is that everybody, all people, should be seeking Ikigai. My very favorite word in all languages I've ever heard is Ikigai. It's a Japanese word, right? And it's a concept that is the space between what we enjoy, what we are good at, what we can be paid for, and what the world needs. And if you can find something that is all four of those things, that is your Ikigai, right? And so, for me, um, that's my Ikigai. And it's become my Ikigai because not that the world needs porn, but the world needs spiritual insight and healing, right? And it needs love, and it needs to remember that we all came from sex and that it's a beautiful thing. It's not a dirty thing, right? And by combining this spiritual space with the sexual space, I find that I am able to bring the world something that it needs, right? And it is something I'm good at. And it is something that I enjoy. And it is something that I get paid for. You see what I'm saying? So it's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Now, is the industry as a whole beautiful? No. Is there some downsides to it? You know, do I some way strengthen the industry by making content in it? Maybe, but all in all, I think that it's not going away. And there's really like the people that are really super addicted to that type of content and stuff, um, they're not gonna, they don't have any other um, place for this type of information and this type of thought to enter their you know their field of reality. And so I'm kind of, you know I'm just following my own path, and while I could sit and question my path all day, I could sit and beat myself up over what's right and what's wrong and what's virtuous, what's non-virtue, what's good and what's evil, and what's duality, what's non-duality, right? Um, I don't believe that I would have been given the gifts that I've been given, all the way from my body to the spiritual experiences that I've had, the healing, you know, the insights, so on and so forth, if I was doing the wrong thing. So I'm kind of just trusting in the universe personally. But yeah, I don't really think of anything as a job. I would never do anything that I considered a job, because for me to do something only for the sake of income, for survival, right? When now that I've proven to myself that I can survive with basically nothing, right? Which is why I proved that to myself. That I can return to that with, joy, with bliss, because I can know that I'm free, right? Because when somebody, at least at some point in the past, maybe they used gold and things as currency. Then they moved to paper, right? But at least paper has to be created and they have to print, and use ink and so on and so forth. But, now we just have computers. And okay, maybe it costs a little power to run the computers, and it costs, people have to do accounting and so on and so forth. But the people in control of all this have ample amounts of all this, and they can change these numbers at will, right? Right. So whatever you're doing for money, if it's not something that you love, if it's not something that the world needs, if it's not something that you're good at, and it's not something, um, that pays you well, then it's just slavery. And it's the worst kind of slavery. It's worse than the whips and the chains and all that, because it's a slavery of the mind, right? So, you know, yeah, I mean, I don't dream of anything that is a job. I despise anything that would be considered a job, you know, because it's what, that concept, that type of thinking has enslaved our entire world. Not only has it enslaved it, but it's destroyed it. Our oceans are polluted, our air is polluted. Um, you know, we have dozens and dozens of people just in my chat alone that are so fucking traumatized and abused that they wake up at 8 o'clock in the fucking morning to go talk shit to random people on the internet. Like, our society is crumbling, because of this concept of, this new style of slavery, which has taken over everybody pretty much. So, yeah, I guess that's my thing. But I've adapted a new way of doing this where rather than, operating on lust and the need for constant variety and da 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 da, and, trying to get paid for my primal impulses, that instead I'm adapting a new system where I'm allowing myself to receive money for love and for spreading insight, you know. And so, yeah, I do have my dream job, but it's not a job, and that's why it's a dream. You know what I'm saying? Magic, good to see you. She says, hamster wheel goes deeper than lifestyle. It's also the psyche and the soul. It must be harder for people in the industry. Well, everybody's different. You know what I'm saying? What is medicine to one person is poison to another. You know what I mean? It really just depends on where they're at and what their situation is. But is there a lot of traumatized people in the industry? Yeah. I mean, I've been in the industry for 15 years, and last time I counted, I was at like 16 or maybe even 18 people that I knew personally, that I personally worked with, that have died, mostly suicides. And no doubt there's been more that we haven't heard about, because not everybody stays in contact with the industry. A lot of them lose contact, and then the same thing ends up happening to them. So is it hard on people's psyche and soul? Yeah, definitely. But um, you know, we all come here to serve our karma, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. Don Bond said, "What do you do for vitamins and minerals? Mainly minerals. Salt, sea salt, and like shilajit is good. Um, but I definitely avoid any type of pills, anything that's been manufactured. Um, is you know there's just too many processes and things go into it, and I don't want my body to be a dumping station for industrial runoff, which is what most vitamins and minerals and supplements and things are. You know what I'm saying? Is that they're just figuring out a way to monetize their waste products. So, you know, salt and shilajit pretty much gets it done. Yeah, I'm up in the mountains right now. It's pretty cool. Got a little cabin action going on. Um, Enjoying some nature time. Trying to get a little hypoxia going on. Kendall says, can't have hope without belief. Hope is the strongest force in the universe. I would disagree. I would say hope is a very sad concept. Um, and belief is based on ignorance. But faith is different, Johnny. Faith is beautiful. Have faith, for sure. I love faith. But faith is something it's very tangible, because if you have faith instead of belief, if you have faith instead of hope, your faith will be rewarded. You know what I'm saying? You can literally go and fucking burn everything you fucking own to the ground, quit your job, walk out into the desert with nothing but, you know, the clothes on your back. If you have faith, you will walk out of that desert a changed person. So faith is very different than belief or hope. Belief and hope are depressing concepts to me, but faith is solid. You know, faith cannot be questioned at all. It will prove itself. It will prove its own value real quick. Life is segment. Kendall says, you can't have an open mind without belief, though. I would disagree again. You know, you can proudly and confidently say, I don't know, while having absolute faith. And I don't know means you have an open mind. Belief means that you're indoctrinated, you know, and that's something that they start doing to you from a very, very young age, telling you what to believe. But if you simply have an open mind, have faith, to know that, you know, you wouldn't exist if you weren't supposed to exist, that's completely different. Angel says, belief is non-confirmed existence. Belief doesn't help anyone regardless of situation. I would agree with that entirely. Have I read much Carl Jung or heard of Gabor Mate? I haven't read a lot of Carl Jung, but I have full intent to read some Carl Jung. I mean, I definitely I get like a lot of Carl Jung on my, you know, on my feed on Instagram. But I haven't really delved into his stuff yet. Though I am getting closer to the stage where I'm going to start consuming more, you know, information which other people have put out during their own process. But because of just the nature of my own unfolding being very random, unexpected, and natural, I have taken a conscious effort to isolate myself mentally, psychologically, and just allow everything to unfold as it is, because I don't want to influence my mind and then have to guess where these different thoughts and things, experiences, and whatnot came from, because some of the things that have happened to me, or basically all the things that happened to me afterwards, when I looked into them and looked for other examples of it, I found other examples of it. And so it was much more interesting to me to have an experience which had no prompting, and then find out that other people had the same experience. So I've I've I'm interested. I understand, like, people like Carl Jung probably are people that have had very similar experiences to me, but because of that, I avoid consuming their work. Though, however, um, I am slowly but surely getting to a place where I am confident in my understanding of what's happened to me. And so one day I will look into that. Let's see. Johanna says, I disagree. Angel Rock beliefs hold much weight, and people can influence how you perceive the world, yourself, and others. It can be a means of comfort and a source to draw strength from. It can also be dangerous, though. Yeah, but why would you want to be influenced in how you perceive the world, yourself, or others? Like, why wouldn't you want to trust in your own experiences? Why wouldn't you want to just become conscious of everything around you? Why wouldn't you want to just observe the unfolding and the way that the universe carries you through anything? As soon as you start meddling with things, that's when things start going wrong. And, belief is one of those things. More horrible things have happened behind belief than good things. I can pretty much guarantee you that. But I mean, we can all agree to disagree. I mean, you can believe whatever you want. You don't have to believe me, but you get what I'm saying? You're operating on belief is like, operating on what? Just somebody's words, some shit that you heard. Like, we have 5 senses for a reason. None of them are for believing. No, I don't really do the psych rock don't know what psych rock is. Maybe I do that. I don't do doom metal, though. I don't know what that is, but I'm not much of a metal person. Deja vu is cool. You guys please try to keep it in English. B. Rob, thank you for the donation. I appreciate you. B. Rob says he got what he needed. Well, I'm happy that we were able to do that. One second, guys. Let me put this thing on the tripod. There we go. 9mm says, how do you support yourself if a job is slavery? Well, by allowing myself to be paid for things that I enjoy. I just won't do anything for money that I wouldn't do for free. So that's how I support myself without being a slave. And, the truth is that, it doesn't really take that much to survive and to support yourself if you're detached from bullshit. You know what I mean? If you got bad habits and addictions and you need to impress people and you care about what other people think and status and, all these things that are programmed into your mind, with all this advertising and, your whole life, that you need to fit some kind of mold and you need to impress people that you really don't even like or care about, or maybe you do like them, but you still need to impress them. If you cut away all the things that you really don't need and you learn to enjoy the most profound and beautiful things in the world, like nature, and just, you could spend all day, every day, just thinking about God. It's free. What other entertainment do you need besides that? If you get rid of your addictions and everything, if you learn to fast, you don't even need that much food. You know what I'm saying? So people, set this bar that they have to try to jump over every day with all their bills and their bullshit, trying to keep up some kind of fucking fake persona. And then they end up having to do things that they don't want to do to support that lifestyle. But if you just try to get under it, everything can change. You know what I mean? You can actually free yourself, but you have to be humble. You have to release your pride. You have to have virtue, you know? And so my strategy is that I will accept money for things that I would do for free. Like right now, for example, it's not much. I made $6 or something on this stream, but I'm not doing this for money. And yet money came to me. You see what I'm saying? I'm doing this because I feel that I can help people. I'm doing this for the betterment of others. And without me even asking, some people have reciprocated something to me. It's not much, but it's something. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm giving without expecting anything in return. And there's a kind of a law to that. Like the more that you give, the more you receive. You know what I'm saying? Vocation, yeah, you could say vocation. Vocation is one aspect of the Ikigai. You know what I'm saying? That would be a better word for, what you can be paid for. But not, if you notice the chat, you'll notice that, we have of course, we have some very intellectual people here, but we also have some pretty low vibrational, lower intellect people here as well. So we're trying to make this user friendly. But yes, vocation is an amazing word. though I don't think that it entirely encompasses everything which Ikigai does. Raphael says, would you say your lust for variety and novelty was ever satiated while you were in your job, or is it truly never ending? I would say it's satiated, because I like intensity, right? I like passion. And the truth is that there's nothing more intense or more passionate than love. You know what I'm saying? And so when sometimes you might be lacking that, and when you're lacking love, it's creates a unfillable void, an abyss, right? And so you can chase all day long, looking for something that is real and pure, and that is a trigger for that underlying hum of existence, which is love, right? But if you actually find that, that satiates everything in life. You know what I mean? Agnes says, no way this dude was a star and I've been a virgin for 25 years. Well, I don't know what to tell you. If you've been a virgin for 25 years, you've probably watched my work and don't even realize it, Agnes. The most straight guy in the world. Maybe. How many meals do I eat nowadays? Well, I'm not going to eat any meals today. Today I'm fasting. In general, I try to stick to one meal a day, though I will say that in the last week or so, I've been eating more than that. Logan O says, hey man, any advice on my circumcision tomorrow? I would say, I don't know. I got circumcised like the day I was born, and I always wished that well, not always, but as of now, I wish that I wasn't circumcised. So my best advice would be cancel it. I don't know. I don't think that it's good to alter your body. He says, for me, faith is the root. And indeed, faith is the root. Hey, Bay Harbor Butcher, how you doing? Do I like scary movies? No. I try not to fill my mind with negative things. I try to keep myself, focused on reality around me. Sorry, guys. 1 second. I'm trying to get through the chat. Hello, Kyle from Sweden. Am I low on energy today due to caffeine withdrawal? Yeah, kind of, to be honest. I was just drinking white tea for like the last week, but I'm actually a little bit shocked at how much I'm kind of down or kind of tired. All right, so I made it to the bottom of the chat, and I appreciate everyone that brought something meaningful today. I think that we did some good work. Given the circumstances. But I'm going to go ahead and conclude the stream. We did make it through an hour, so we did our daily thing. Hopefully there was something of meaning for some people. And we will consider possibly streaming tomorrow. I gotta go check the analytics and see if I want to keep up the stream. All right. See you guys.